Hi everyone, I'm Chiara, PR assistant, and today we are here with Colin Ryan. Hi Colin, thank you for being here with us and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Edge.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is our agency podcast dedicated to the evolving landscape of international media and the relationships between PRs and journalists. So let's get started with our very first question. You cover emerging technologies daily. In your opinion, which tech trends or topics are truly worth the hype and which are overhyped into these medias?
Yeah. Well, like it's never been a better time to be a journalist in science technology. I mean, there's so much to choose from. I suppose for myself, something that I've been very impressed by recently is climate tech.
Mhm.
Um, with all the extreme weather events that are going on at the moment, these climate tech solutions that we're seeing now are truly innovative. And I think it's what helps that is, these climate tech solutions, they're born out of necessity to help kind of cope with all these events that are happening. I think really like innovation that's born out of necessity is truly fascinating and most of all impressive, really. Like for example, uh, there's a few companies that are creating solutions in like wildfire prevention tech and monitoring tech. So like wildfires, especially with the adverse effects of the climate crisis, are becoming disastrously damaging. Like, I mean, even just look at California early this year. So we've seen a few companies that are creating these systems that combine a whole range of technologies together for the sole purpose of monitoring wildfires and also early early detection and as a result prevention. So we've seen companies that are combining satellite technology, cameras, sensors, even AI all together with incredible effect. Um, you know, they utilizing algorithms, pattern recognition, heat detection technology. It's all incredible. And I think that is definitely deserving of the hype. Um, Now, technologies that may be a bit overhyped. I mean, we're going to get around to AI eventually. Um, Now, don't get me wrong, AI is incredible. I mean, there's a reason it
Yeah.
took the world by storm when ChatGPT released a few years ago. Um, the only thing is, I think, in its current iteration, we give AI way too much credit.
Okay.
I think, you know, it's sophisticated, it's very advanced, but we need to recognize its limitations as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of people afford a lot of credit to it. They, almost think that it can replace human thinking and everything. It cannot replicate human thinking in its current form. Maybe down the line it might. Some people believe that's going to happen. Some people believe it's inevitable, which is terrifying.
Yeah,
Um,
kind of.
but in its yeah, it's in its current form, it's it's very it's advanced, but we need to be realistic. When the craze first happened, countless companies were looking at this technology and countless executives were saying like this stuff's incredible. We need to onboard that into our systems. We need to integrate that in our products, services, even just in our digital infrastructure. Um, and now what we're seeing, interestingly, it's been a few years since then, and there's reports now showing that a lot of these companies, their their expectations aren't being met. You know, for the ones who have barely implemented AI, they're running into barriers that they never prepared for. Outdated digital infrastructure. Like AI requires so much computing power
Yeah.
and up-to-date infrastructure to work properly. A lot of these places did not account for that. Skills, knowledge of the technology. You're bringing this advanced technology into your workforce, people are going to need to be trained on it, you know.
Yeah, agree.
Otherwise, it's useless. Um,
Perfectly. Yes.
and even yeah, and like you know, it's a lot. Even the companies that have implemented it in some way, a lot of them are not seeing the returns that they expected at all. So we need to be realistic about it. You know, this is advanced technology, but it's for how they have thought processes, but not the same as a human. You know, agentic AI has a sort of thought process for problem solving. And we need to remember as well that AI is only as good as the data that it's trained on. So in a lot of instances, the data that it's trained on may have biases, and that will then be reflected in its output. And we've seen it over the years. We've seen faults happen time and time again. We've seen hallucinations, as they call it, which range from, funny, like, I don't know, describing a pizza made with glue or something,
Yeah.
to downright dangerous, like, just terrible advice being brought on by these AI models. So yeah, I think it's incredible technology. It's worth the hype in some ways, but we need to be realistic and recognize its limitations.
Yeah, I perfectly agree with you with these sentences because it's something we need to understand fully before using it. So I agree with you, Colin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, switching a little bit the topics, here we go with the second one. If you had to give 3 tips to startup founders or tech companies hoping to get featured in outlets like Silicon Republic, what would they be?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So number one, like this is even something I advise to founders before they even attempt to go to a publication. Be sure about your business idea or your concept. Be locked down in it. Be confident in it. You know, if you're still figuring out the core idea, then it's too early to start showing it off. Have the concept sorted. Show why it's worth featuring, and demonstrate your genuine belief in its success. And further to that, we like to see some demonstration of testing that product or that service. Whether it's trials, whether it's studies,
Sure.
this is all vital to the story that you're trying to tell to us. You just need to have something to back it up. You need evidence that this is worth seeing through. The second thing I advise is, and this is something that we get a lot, when you want someone to write about your startup, you really need to include some personality. It's because we're writing about the startup, but like equally we're writing about the founders. We're writing about the entire story. And if you're just sending on a load of jargon, a load of complicated information, it's it's just kind of soulless, and it's not terribly interesting to read about if you're just a casual reader.
Yeah.
It's a narrative that you're trying to give to us, and it's not an elevator pitch. You're right. You're giving us all this information so we can craft a story for our readers, and it's not investors that you're catering to here. Um, and I suppose third,
Yeah.
number 3 is, I think, research the outlet that you're looking to pitch to. See what their specialty is. Get that focused in first, because Silicon Republic, we cover everything with the tech angle.
Yeah.
Everything has to have that specific tech hook. But just because you made an app doesn't mean it's suitable. We need that tech hook to it. And I think it's vital to kind of look into the outlet before you pitch your startup for that very reason. Because if you don't do that and you pitch it to some company or some outlet that doesn't cover your area, you're falling at the first hurdle. So I think definitely do the research first.
Yeah. I think we will take note for this. Thanks you. Thank you. And moving on, in your opinion, what are the key elements that contribute to a successful collaboration between journalists and PR professionals in the tech industry?
It's a great question. I think first and foremost, honesty is key from both sides. I mean, PR and journalism, it's a mutually beneficial relationship there. So for the PR side, being honest with the journalist about expectations, and from the journalist side, being honest about delivery of the materials, you know, being open with one another is how you get stuff done. Um, Being open about deadlines, being open about materials. If you send me on something and it's not up to par, it's my responsibility to tell you, I
Yeah.
it's a bit more than this. Um, and yeah, like honesty is key. And like, I think for pure professionals, it's important to understand that journalists are often quite busy and got quite snowed under. And sometimes things may fall through the cracks. And there's nothing personal there. Like, we're all human. Um, but at the same time, journalists have a responsibility to keep the PR professionals updated as much as they can. Silence doesn't do well on either end. Um, and I think another thing that's kind of vital to the relationship between PR professionals and journalists, I think a bit of humor goes a long way. A bit of lightheartedness. We're all just trying to get through the day. We're all trying to get something done. Not everything has to be serious all the time. And
Okay.
you can build that working relationship really well if just have a bit of fun with it, or just, a bit of, if you can have a laugh with them, I think that goes along.
Okay, thank you, Colin. And last but not least of our questions, could you share with us one key do and one don't that PR professionals should always keep in mind before reaching out to a journalist?
Perfect. Yeah. So for a don't, I'd say don't send a generic pitch with very little information to go off of. You know, Try and include some background information, some specifics in relation to the client or company that you're pitching, and I suppose like a concise, like focused explanation of the pitch or story that you're sending their way.
Yeah.
That's vital and important, I think. And also do some information about, or sorry, do some research about the publication or the outlet,
Yeah.
and know what they write about, know and know who you're even reaching out to, and whether the pitch might be suitable for them. And like, I suppose a massive do is, yeah, just send a focused, personalized pitch to the journalist. Like, honestly, even just seeing your name, like, oh hi, whoever, it's nicer. You're building that rapport already. Um, and you know, I think as well, wait a week for following up if you can. If we don't get around to the pitch at first, it's not personal. We're, like I said, we're all human. We will eventually get to it, but if a week passes, then that's the time to follow back up, and that's something that I have to work on as well as you.
Sure.
Like, it's 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 something I definitely need to work on. So I need to practice what I preach now.
Okay.
But yeah, we eventually will get around to it. And yeah,
Okay, thank you. Well, then thanks a lot for these insightful tips, Colin, perspectives and opinions you share with us. And once again, thanks for being part of Beyond the Edge.
thanks so much for having me. I'm honored to be here, and I can't wait to see the rest of the series.
Yeah, sure. See you next time.